Just Baseball Show. Jack McMullen and Peter Apple here guiding you through on this beautiful week of baseball where the awards races are starting to heat up a little bit. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk you through the American League MVP, the American League Cy Young, the National League Rookie of the Year. We also have a couple of things that we want to hit on. I want to get to the AL East and just the macro look at the top three off the top. And then two Pirates arms are kind of sort of making history. One legitimately is, and the other looks like they could be doing that very soon. Thank you for joining us. If you're with us on SportsGrid, thanks for joining us on every traditional channel if you are doing that. Peter, who we brought to you by?
BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether that be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JUSTBASEBALL. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. But reminder, must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
You fired up for this?
I am very fired up for this. We have races that are just incredible right now. I'm so glad we're focusing in because the season is flying by. We got a little over a month left.
I know. And I want to start here with the American League East right now. And we're going to talk about a division race at the moment, even though there's a 5-game cushion for the top spot before we get into the individual awards races here. I want to start with the AL East because to me, it's fascinating. And you just had a 4-game set over the weekend in the Bronx between the Red Sox and the Yankees. And the Red Sox, they took 3 of the front 4. You already won the series. It's great. Yankees got the win on Sunday Night Baseball. They beat up Dustin May. As it stands right now, Toronto is second in the American League East, or Boston, is second in the American League East. They're 5 back of the Toronto Blue Jays, who are atop the division. The Yankees are a half game back of the Boston Red Sox. Yankees have won 6 of the last 10. They were hot before Boston came to town. Boston 5-5 over the last 10. I want to start with Toronto and then get to what happened over the weekend in Yankees Red Sox, because you just got a live look at Toronto in Miami for Just Baseball Day at Lone Depot Park, which was awesome. Thank you for coming out to that. They are insanely gritty. It really didn't register for me how nauseating it must be to face the Toronto Blue Jays until I just watched them uninterrupted for 3 games this weekend.
Really, really deep team. And you got a live look at Shane Bieber, so I'm really excited for us to dive into him, the addition to that, to the rotation, because we can even start with the rotation now. They had Gausman, they had Barrios, Bassett has been struggling, and Eric Lauer has been incredible, but they could certainly have used an ace at the top of the rotation. And the Blue Jays were one of the only teams to actually go get an ace caliber pitcher. They really were the only one during this deadline getting Shane Bieber, but there was a risk there. Bieber hasn't had a start since the beginning of 2024. What are you going to get for him?
Right. I think it was April 2nd, 2024. It was 507 days between starts.
And look what he did. 6 innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And that Marlins offense is frisky. That's not some easy matchup, especially on the road in Miami. What did you see?
I saw a guy that really didn't skip a beat after missing a year and a half because of Tommy John surgery. And that is the vague and overarching way of putting it. The more in-depth way of putting it is secondaries are never that good on the heels of Tommy John surgery. Sometimes you see the velocity tick. More often than not, you see the velocity tick because you're feeling a little bit more fresh and you feel like your maximum output is a bit higher with a new ligament. But what you are missing is the feel of that previous one. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like I don't think golf gloves do this. It's almost like wearing new work gloves where you're so accustomed to the feel of something when you're doing landscaping, then all of a sudden you get new gloves and it's like, oh, I got to adjust the feel here. Or you know what it is? It's driving a new car. That's exactly what the comp is. Because I've been driving a Jetta for the last 8 years. Car got totaled in September of 2022. And I test drove a bunch of different cars. I tried a Nissan, I tried a Honda, I tried a Toyota. And it just didn't feel like a Jetta. So then I went back to the VW spot and I was like, I want a Jetta. And I just did that because it felt like what it used to feel like. For Shane Bieber, for everybody coming off of Tommy John surgery, you're throwing with a new UCL. The feel of your secondaries, your breaking balls, your changeups, your splits, it's just going to be a little different because you're effectively throwing with a new elbow on. And he looked like he was throwing with his old UCL. He was throwing with his old elbow, and he just happened to be up 2, 3 ticks. He was sitting about 92, 93. He was pulsing it up to about 94. And the slider was disgusting. Everything that came out of his hand looked perfectly executed. That was as impressive a start coming back from Tommy John surgery as I think there's ever been.
And not only is that enormous for the rest of the regular season, but luckily for the Blue Jays, they already have a 5-game lead. So even if they never added Shane Bieber, and what I mean by that is if he couldn't make any more starts in the regular season, he was just for the playoffs, they'd be fine. But now every fifth day, you're getting an ace caliber pitcher. And then when we get to the postseason where starting pitching is as important as ever, now Gosman is the 2. Now Barrios is the 3 versus them being the 1-2. So the Jays get really scary not only in the regular season, but even scarier in the playoffs. I want to use your car analogy for the lineup.
Yeah.
The Yankees have a Ferrari in Aaron Judge.
Sure.
Right? But the Blue Jays have 7 BMWs with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. possibly being the Porsche. Maybe not quite the Ferrari, but in the same breath. Bo Bichette is leading Major League Baseball in hits. Dalton Varsho, since he came back from injury, has put up a 133 WRC plus, which means he's 33% better than league average. The Blue Jays typically have a solid lineup, but this is the deepest it has ever been. Only at the bottom of the lineup are you seeing 2 guys in Nathan Lucas and Andres Jimenez who are below 100, which means they are below a league average hitter. But that's okay when, of course, Andres Jimenez is a platinum glove level defender. So there's no real outs in the lineup. They're a great base running team. They're a good defensive team. And that's why I liked the term you used. They are a nuisance. The Brewers are a nuisance. It's this brand of baseball that's just overwhelming to other teams. And it's a big reason why the Blue Jays are atop the American League East.
And you got 2 people fighting for second and 2 people or 2 teams fighting for American League wildcard spots in the Red Sox and the Yankees. We got a couple minutes here. What did you think about the weekend as a whole? Obviously, the Red Sox dominated the weekend. Sunday Night Baseball was the one with the most eyes on it, and the Yankees did dominate Dustin May in that one. I'll start, my takeaway was Roman is here and ready for this rivalry. That's a fun wrinkle here where you have the next young superstar inserted into this rivalry and he makes an immediate impact.
Yeah, I mean, the Roman Empire is going to be a problem for the rest of the American League East and the rest of baseball for a very long time. But Bregman is also just such a perfect hitter.
Yeah.
Right? His swing is just perfectly geared for Fenway Park. And, whether he's playing on the road or at home, it doesn't really matter. He's just so sound. And then, of course, you have Jarren Duran. Carlos Narvaez was running through a bit of a struggle fest there for a while, but he looked a little bit better. The Red Sox lineup and then their bullpen. I mean, we talk about Chapman with a 1.08 ERA. He refuses to go away. But how about Weissert? How about Wilson? How about Whitlock? All the W's getting it done, and they're turning into W's. Yeah. And then when you have Garrett Crochet at the top of the rotation, we're going to talk about the American League Cy Young in a bit. Another 7-inning, 1-run, 11 strikeout performance against the Yankees. He's now thrown 27 innings. Or, 27. What is Garrett Crochet's stats against the Yankees real quick? I think he's got 21 and a third, 27 strikeouts, a 2.95 ERA.
There you go.
And when Fried gives you 6 innings shutty, the Yankees are expected to win. But when Brian Bale goes 7 shutty, that's when you get a 1-0 win from the Red Sox, the lone run driven in by Connor Wong. It's a pretty embarrassing series. And now the Yankees dropped to 2-8 against the Red Sox this season. On Sunday Night Baseball was their first nationally televised win against the Red Sox. And against the Blue Jays, they're 3-7. The Yankees are 17-22 against the division. If they just went 500 against both the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, Yankees might be leading it, but they aren't because they're going up against these teams and they're losing.
Yep, they are certainly losing. I will say testament to the Red Sox who have Justin Slayton on rehab right now with AAA Worcester. And oh, by the way, it's been over a month since Aroldis Chapman allowed his last hit. It's not like Chapman's been hurt. Aroldis Chapman, the last hit against him was on July 23rd in Philadelphia. This guy has gone a month without allowing a base hit. That's your AL East talk. You got two wildcard teams right behind Toronto. We'll be back on the Just Baseball show. All right, we talked about the American League East on the Just Baseball show here. Jack McMullen, Peter Apple. Now we got to talk about the American League MVP because it is getting very, very tight. Not Cal Quantrill. I just looked at the jersey in the back of your screen. By the way, congrats on the move to Chicago.
The signed Colorado Rockies Quantrill jersey. That might be worth more than my entire Chicago apartment right there. Look at that. Look how beautiful it is.
That could, and the Aaron Judge painting from our guy Kyle Taylor, who is just excellent. But yeah, Cal Raleigh, not Cal Quantrill, the new Braves ace. Cal Raleigh just set the record for most homers ever hit by a catcher in a single season. He passed up Salvador Perez. Next stop is 50. Maybe the next stop is 60 for Cal Raleigh. And he's making this thing really darn interesting, man. I know Judge missed some time with the UCL issue. I know he's still DHing. But man, where are you at right now? Because this was a conversation in April. This was a conversation in May, tapered off a little bit. And here at the end of August, we're still having this conversation. And that should send shivers down Yankee fans and Judge backer spines.
Oh, we're going to have this conversation until the last day of the regular season. That's how close it is. Both of these players have the same exact Fangraphs WAR at 7.3. Now we can dive further into the numbers, but a couple of cool more stats about Cal Raleigh, and this comes to us from Peyton, aka Big League Analysis on social media. If Cal Raleigh hits one more home run from the right side, he'll become the first switch hitter ever to have at least 20 home runs from both sides of the plate. He's also 5 home runs away from the all-time switch hitter record, Mickey Mantle, back in 1961 with 54. Now, Mantle did hit 39 from the left side, so it wasn't exactly an even distribution by Cal, but there's no doubt about it. Cal Raleigh is putting up the most prolific season slugging-wise by a catcher in MLB history. He passed Salvador Perez, who hit 48 home runs back in 2021. Jack, we're talking at the end of August.
Yeah.
This isn't, he just passed him. That's so cool. Cal has so much more to go. That's why I wanted to bring up the all-time switch hitter stats. But here's the thing, what I keep going back to about this race. The slugging has been unbelievable, right? From Cal Raleigh. Judge is slugging 669 compared to Cal Raleigh at 593. Judge has about a 90-point lead in batting average. He's got nearly a 100-point lead in OBP, 150-point lead in OPS. You look at OPS plus, it's not that close. It's tough because clearly the better bat has been Aaron Judge. But here's another wrinkle in this whole thing. Aaron Judge, since he hurt his elbow, has a 775 OPS.
Yep.
But here's the thing. Cal Raleigh in the second half has a 771 OPS. So both of these guys are having incredible seasons, but as the season unfolds, nobody wants to grab it.
Yeah. When I look at something like win probability added, and that's something that I do really factor into an MVP discussion. I'm not sure how many people are truly factoring that into an MVP discussion because it is an advanced metric and it's kind of a homer and OPS award. But when I look at win probability added, Shohei Ohtani is number 1. Freddie Freeman is number 2.
But after that, before you even continue that, just the fact that those two are at the top of the stat that you love, you're in pretty good company.
I'm in really good company, yes. And I will tell you the bottom for the sake of this among qualified hitters. Matt McClain, Nick Castellanos in Philly, Brian Reynolds in Pittsburgh. Ozzie Albies down there as well. Eric Wagaman down there. Yainer Diaz down there. And so is Brian Hayes. A lot of Pirates or former Pirates down there, right?
Shocker.
Yeah. But Ohtani and Freeman are 1 and 2. Jose Ramirez and Vladdy Jr. are 5 and 6. Soto is 7. Tatis is 8. Cal Raleigh is number 3. Aaron Judge is number 4. So these two are effectively stacked in win probability added. And the reason I care about that is it kind of gives you the best idea of who factors the most into their team winning baseball games. And I think to the naked eye, you would be assuming, the catcher, right? The catcher with 50 homers this year. Win probability added backs it up. Obviously, not by much because Aaron Judge, what he has done is generational offensively. But again, I will make the same case that I made in May on this show. You have to reward the best catcher season of all time. And at the end of the day, he is willing his team to a postseason spot as a catcher. And I know Brian Wu has been awesome. And I know Julio Rodriguez, after the break, has been one of the best players in Major League Baseball. But the only constant for them, and they're a team with legitimate World Series aspirations, the only constant aside from Wu going 6 is Cal Raleigh hitting dingers. And I think that has to matter.
It does matter. You referenced win probability added, and it certainly is one of the better advanced metrics. Can we simplify it all the way down as well? Can we just look at batting average for a second?
Sure.
And now, before I even start this, I can already
Neanderthal.
I can already read the comments. How can he go to batting average? Why would he say that? This is not the end all be all. You can delete your comments. I'm not saying this is the answer. I just think it's interesting. The lowest batting average to ever win an MVP was actually Shohei Ohtani when he hit 257. He also pitched, though, which I think is interesting. The lowest batting average for just a position player to ever win MVP was Marty Marion back in 1944 when he hit 267. Now, it's a lot harder to hit now. We know that in Major League Baseball, love it or hate it, the 3 true outcomes are alive. Guys don't care as much about batting average. So the league-wide batting average back in 1944 was 262. So Marion was just slightly above that average. The thing is, the league-wide batting average right now in Major League Baseball is 246. Yep. Cal Raleigh is hitting 247. So there are some advanced numbers that would certainly point to Cal Raleigh. But can we really give an MVP to a guy who's hitting below 250?
And that, I think, is the real litmus test to see how much batting average matters anymore. I think the same deal with RBIs. We're going to hit a point where somebody has 80 driven in, and the other guy has 125 driven in, and the guy with 80 could be having the better season and more deserving of the MVP. How much do RBIs matter? In a toss-up, we're going to find out if things like batting average matters. We're going to find out if things like pure home run total matters. We're going to find out if WAR matters. And right now, they're dead even right now. Try and put on your blinders and look to the end of October, beginning of November. Who's the MVP?
Closing my eyes, who is the MVP? So, I'm a little bit worried about Aaron Judge's elbow. I'm not as worried about Cal Raleigh's 775 OPS right now. I do feel like eventually the Mariners have a better chance of catching the Astros versus the Yankees catching the Blue Jays or the Red Sox. If the Mariners do catch them, Cal Raleigh wins MVP.
Okay. I think Cal Raleigh, and again, I stand by this being the best catcher season of all time, and I think we need to give that its flowers. It's going to be a tight race until the very end. Cannot wait to watch it. Back in a moment on the Just Baseball Show. Just Baseball Show, Jack McMullen, Peter Apple. We want to talk about Paul Skenes. He started the good old Roku game on Sunday morning. That was the game that starts at, noon, I want to say? By the way, Jen Powell had the plate. She was really good. Did you see the umpire scorecard? Jen Powell was excellent in the mid to high 90s in both balls and strikes.
She's been crushing it so far. It's really cool to see.
She's been crushing it. Paul Skenes did start in a 4-0 win for the Pirates over the Rockies. Skenes goes 7 scoreless. 3 hits, no walks, 7 Ks. That was Paul Skenes' 50th career Major League start. And Paul Skenes, through 50 Major League starts, has a 2.02 ERA. The exact numbers through 50 career starts. Skenes, in 294 innings, has 351 punchouts, a 2.02 ERA, and a whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, of 0.94. The only guy in the live ball era, which began in 1920, with a better earned run average through 50 Major League starts to open a career, Vida Blue in the late 60s, early 70s. Vida Blue is one of those guys that you can read about in books on books on books, and you realize he was as electric as they came. But some of the big hitting guys, you think about Fernando Valenzuela, you think about Doc Gooden, you think about these ridiculous starts that we have seen to a career. The only guy by run prevention that has been better through the first 50 Major League starts of their career in the live ball era, so the last 105 years, is Vida Blue. He was at 2.01 through 50 starts. Paul Skenes is at 2.02. It was funny because I was having this conversation with Gabby Sanchez on the Marlins radio broadcast, and I asked him, when did you realize that there was a generational pitcher here? Was it in his major league debut? Did you have to see 10 major league starts? And he said, honestly, when he was throwing in Omaha in college at LSU.
Yep.
And then that got my brain turning. It got the gears churning in my head. And I thought, who did I know was going to be awesome in college? There's really not many. Skenes, you had the idea because he was overpowering. People love Chase Burns, who's now in Cincinnati. Burns was not Skenes. I had to go back to a couple of guys. I went back to Adley Rutschman at Oregon State. I think we knew that he was going to be really darn good. And then you go to, for me, the early to mids 2000s or 2010 shortstops in Dansby Swanson when he was at Vanderbilt and Alex Bregman at LSU. Those were really the only guys that jumped out to me. Paul Skenes, like, this is a generational talent. We are seeing the next all-time great pitching career unfold, and we've been fully attentive to the first 50 starts of his major league career. It's just amazing to think about. Yeah, we knew this was possible in college, and we knew this was likely that he was going to be really good. There's no world where we were thinking he was going to be this good this quickly.
I love what Gabby said because our eyes immediately tell us how good Paul Skenes is. I remember he was through 12, 15 starts in his rookie year, and you came to the table. It might have even been earlier than that, and you said, this guy is already the best pitcher in baseball. And my brain, who is saying, well, what about the guys who have been eating innings forever? What about even Skubal, who just put up that great year, or Wheeler, who is such a damn good pitcher? But when you watch him pitch, how easy it is for him to dominate, your eyes tell you he's the best pitcher in baseball. And since he debuted, the eyes and the numbers are the same. He has the lowest ERA. You noted it, 2.02. That's the lowest since he debuted among all current pitchers right now. Right? So ever since he stepped foot on the mound in Major League Baseball, this has been the best pitcher when it comes to run prevention. And his ability to just pick up certain pitches and come into the game and use them and have them be elite offerings. Yeah. I think about his changeup, right? His changeup was not very prevalent in college. I know he mixed it in occasionally. But it wasn't the Paul Skenes pitch that we were watching. Then last year, during his rookie year, throws it about 115 times, which equated to about 5% of his usage. Opponents hit under 100 against it. Then this year, he ups that to 10%. Opponents are hitting under 100 against it. And I could just go through all of those pitches. There's so many stories with all of them. He pinpoints everything. And there's also the bravado on the mound. As soon as he stepped foot, you said, that's an ace. Just the way he carries himself. Yeah. It's not like these crazy levers. It's not full extension. It looks easy. It's easy for him. It looks like he's playing a different sport.
It's a little crossfire-ish, actually a lot of crossfire-ish, which creates that deception. But at the end of the day, he's 6'6", 250, and he's throwing 100 miles an hour. So, we can say, oh, it's the minute aspects of his delivery and the intricacies there that throw off a hitter enough from the standard characteristics of, a big-bodied pitcher. Okay, that's really cool and all, but he throws 100 and he's got 7 pitches now that he can go to, and they seem to be spawning at any given time. When it's all said and done, is this guy a top 10 pitcher of all time?
That is such a hard question because there are so many legends in the game, and there are also so many pitchers that throughout history are just going to dwarf him in innings, right? Which is the way that these pitchers are handled nowadays, and especially with a guy throwing as hard as he does. So to put him in that same breath of those guys who have thrown thousands and thousands of innings, will he ever be able to compile the numbers that Randy Johnson or Roger Clemens were able to do? Probably not. But what I think we're going to talk about at the end of Skenes' career is using current data. Is he as talented as some of those pitchers, some of the best of all time?
Yeah.
The numbers are the numbers. Best start through 50 starts. So if he was going to start getting compared to those guys, it would make sense to start talking about it after the greatest 50 starts to start a career outside of Vida Blue.
Yep.
So I don't think that's a crazy question to ask because, again, our eyes are telling us beyond the numbers, this guy is different. So to answer your question, I don't know if the numbers will be there, but the talent certainly is.
100%. All right, we'll be back in a moment here on the Just Baseball Show. All right, we just talked about Paul Skenes and his legacy. He was the National League Rookie of the Year in 2024. In 2025, it's much more than a two-horse race. Last year, we were talking about two generational rookies, and Paul Skenes and Jackson Merrill, who put up a 5.5-win season for the San Diego Padres. But this year, it's wide open right now. Isaac Collins of the Milwaukee Brewers. Cade Horton, at some books, just became the odds-on favorite of the Chicago Cubs, a right-handed pitcher who has been amazing since the All-Star break. Drake Baldwin of the Atlanta Braves. There are more guys in the conversation for the National League Rookie of the Year. We got about 10 minutes here to hash this all out. Can you put together like the case for the 3-4 guys you feel like are actually in this hunt?
So let's go over the odds first, just to quantify what the books are telling us. So you're right. Cade Horton is now the new favorite on BetMGM at about plus 140, which means the implied odds of that, BetMGM is saying they're giving him about a 42% chance of winning. Isaac Collins at about plus 180, around 35%. Drake Baldwin at 2-1, about 33.3%. And if you're curious why those don't add up to 100%, well, the books have to make some money. It's called the hold. That's their profit margin. So they're not exactly going to equal 100%. But before I make the case, can I make a case against? Because here's my issue. Cade Horton, again, is now the new favorite. Him being the favorite for National League Rookie of the Year, respectfully, is a total sham. I say respectfully because I don't want this to come off as if I dislike Cade Horton. We've talked about him plenty of times on the show. I've praised him relentlessly. I think he's one of the better young pitchers in the league with a really bright future.
Yeah.
When you look at the rookie landscape in the National League, there's just no way he should be the favorite. What this is reminding me of is Cubs fans running to the sports books to bet Cade Horton. For one, Horton has thrown 93 innings this year. He's likely going to make 6 more starts. So he should be around, based on that math, 125 to 130 innings. He'd be the first starter since Dave Righetti in 1981 to win Rookie of the Year with less than 130 innings. But Righetti's competition were 2 starters who threw fewer than 80 innings and Rich Gedman, who put up a 751 OPS over 62 games. Gedman finished second. So that's the level of competition. Now, Skenes won it last year with 133 innings, but he struck out 170 batters with a 1.96 ERA.
Yeah.
Just on different planets.
Respectfully, there is a difference between a 1.9 and a 2.8.
100%. And just continuing, Collins and Baldwin both played the majority of the season so far. Both are at least 20% better than the league average hitter by both OPS plus and WRC plus. Collins has a 2.8 WAR compared to Horton at 1.0.
Yeah.
That's looking at Baseball Reference. It's just not close. And then it goes even farther. Just among starters, National League starters who are rookies, Chad Patrick for Milwaukee has more innings, more strikeouts, a higher WAR, and yeah, he's got a 3.60 ERA compared to Horton at 2.88.
Yeah.
But Patrick has the better FIP, and the only reason I bring him up is his odds aren't even offered on BetMGM.
Because he's been in AAA for the last month and a half.
And still has more innings. And when we're talking about innings, remember I said he has about 6 more starts left? Well, his last shutout outing against the Angels, which he was awesome. 6 shutty, pulled after 74 innings. Why?
Or 74 pitches, yeah.
74 pitches, excuse me. He left his last start with a blister, so that is something to monitor.
Yeah. And
his career high in innings in the minors is 88. His final year at Oklahoma, he threw 54. And the Cubs, they need a 3-starter in the playoffs. Now, you can say that's Tyone after Boyd and Shota Imanaga, but based on the talent level, you probably want it to be Horton.
Yeah.
So, coming off a blister, already at his career high in innings, and they need him for the playoffs. So I say to get to this threshold of 130, but he might not even get there. So for me, There's no way Cade Horton should be the favorite. Now, crazier has happened, and I do love Cade Horton. Cubs fans, don't come for me. This has nothing to do with Cade Horton, the talent. I think he is going to be, again, one of the better young pitchers in baseball for a very long time. But for right now, this is a two-horse race.
Yeah.
Horton doesn't deserve to be in this category. Now, on talent, of course he does. Based on the body of work, no.
And yet he is the odds-on favorite to win National League Rookie of the Year. I mean, it reminds me of the quick spike you saw in Jacob Mizorowski, and then when he hit the IL, it just kind of went away. It went away. My thing with Horton, I'm with you. Like, this is a production. This is an output-based award, the Rookie of the Year. It's based on what you did over the course of the season, and there are very few people that can play fewer than 100 games or throw fewer than 120 innings that can win this award. If you do that, your production needs to outweigh the counting numbers that you have amassed. Like, I think about Yordan Alvarez. Yordan Alvarez won the Rookie of the Year, and he only played in 80 or 90 games at that point. Yordan Alvarez won the American League Rookie of the Year. He played in 87 games, but he hit 313 with 27 homers and a 1067 OPS. So there you go. Like, the results outweigh the sample, but there needs to be a marriage of results and sample. And Horton has results. He doesn't necessarily have sample. Two guys that have results and sample right now are Isaac Collins of the Milwaukee Brewers and Drake Baldwin of the Atlanta Braves. And before I ask you where you skew, I want to put together the case for Collins. Collins is playing meaningful baseball every single night. He's on the best team in Major League Baseball. Collins has played 14 more games than Drake Baldwin. Now, Baldwin's a catcher. Collins has a higher OPS at this point. And he's a better defender at his position than it seems like Baldwin is at his. And Baldwin's an okay catcher. He's a pretty good defensive catcher. Collins is a very good corner outfielder. So the question, much like the American League MVP, becomes, what do you value? The catcher, who's been awesome, or the corner outfielder, who's been probably a bit better?
That's the thing. And then voters are human. They are. That's why we bring up team success. Whether you agree with that listening or not, the voters are the voters. And the voters are going to look at a guy in Isaac Collins who likely has the higher WAR. Even if Baldwin catches him in OPS, it's going to be very close. And what are they going to say? Well, Drake Baldwin's been playing for the Braves, and look how much of a disaster that season was. And the Brewers are going to finish with the best record in baseball. And doesn't Isaac Collins kind of symbolize the Brewers season in a way?
Yeah.
Next man up, guy you wouldn't expect to be as good as he is. They're going to buy into that. Of course they are. And because Drake Baldwin, who I think has the better bat, when I'm talking about pure talent, regardless of the results this year, like moving forward, I think Drake Baldwin is the better player. But if we're looking at the numbers this season, we're looking at team success. They're going to go with Isaac Collins. That's why I think right now, for all my folks who are looking at BetMGM, I think Collins is a good bet. I love Drake Baldwin. Again, I think he's going to be a better player long term. But for right now, if it's tied, tie goes to the better team.
Yeah.
And it's not even tied. Isaac Collins has a slight lead in both. So, in my opinion, the way I would slice the odds right now is I would go Collins, then Baldwin, and I guess Horton, but I have a couple others who I think are, like Matt Shaw, his teammate, has been so much better in the second half. But again, not as many games played. You know, there's other guys who deserve a shout here as well. But I still think it's a two-horse race, even though the betting odds don't reflect it.
No, and credit to some of the rookies, right? Like Agustin Ramirez has 18 homers. Jacob Marcy has been unbelievable, but he won't play the number of games needed.
Yeah.
Like, it really doesn't seem like that. It is just fascinating to look at here. And I love the point you bring up, because you're not rewarding who you think is the best player. Like, I don't think anybody is saying Isaac Collins is going to be the best guy from this rookie class. Isaac Collins is 6 years older than Drake Baldwin is. He's 6 years older than Cade Horton is. It's just a matter of who put together the best 2025 season to win the 2025 National League Rookie of the Year. So Collins is your pick, and you're not thinking twice about that?
I'm thinking twice because of how much I love Drake Baldwin, but I'm still picking Collins. Like, I'm not, oh yes, stamping, it's definitely Collins. I'm just stamping saying it's definitely not Horton.
Yeah.
And then if I were to split hairs, give me Isaac Collins.
Okay, I got you. And again, it's Cade Horton, Isaac Collins, and Drake Baldwin that are the three atop the National League Rookie of the Year conversation. The American League, it's all but wrapped up. Nick Kurtz is a superstar blossoming in front of our very eyes. So, you know what? Credit to you, Nick Kurtz. But we are going to talk about another American League award race in a moment. That's the American League Cy Young. Stay with us on the Just Baseball Show. Another tight conversation atop an award race in Major League Baseball. This is the Just Baseball Show. Jack McMullen, Peter Apple for this week. Garrett Crochet, Tarek Skubal. This is power on power in terms of the American League Cy Young Award right now. What's the pricing at this very moment? Because you got Crochet and Skubal going back and forth right now.
Mike Tyson is a minus 120 favorite, a.k.a. Tarek Skubal, and Evander Holyfield is minus 110, a.k.a. Garrett Crochet. Again, if you're wondering why both are over 50%, got to account for the hold of the sports book. The profit margin is built into those odds. It's real close. And I want to actually hear your top line prediction because I went through the 6 starts that both of them have remaining. And I think when you look at those 6 starts, a name starts to rise to the top.
Really? Okay. I know the Yankees have a bit of a cakewalk the rest of the way. I don't know what the Red Sox schedule looks like.
Remember, it's not just the Red Sox schedule. It's like Garrett Crochet's specific starts that he's going to go up against and Tarek Skubal's specific starts that he's going to go up against.
Okay, so Skubal, just giving you the rundown right now. 25 starts. He's 11-3 with a 2.32 ERA. 159 in the third innings. He's punched out 200 and walked 25. Garrett Crochet, meanwhile, he's 14-5 through 26 starts with a 2.38 ERA and 166 in the third. He's punched out 207 and walked 42. So Crochet has the edge in innings and strikeouts just by a little bit. Skubal has the slight edge in ERA as it stands right now. I don't think there's any underlying voter bias about not wanting to vote for a guy in back-to-back years. I think if Skubal was the best pitcher in the American League, he would win back-to-back AL Cy Young Awards. But there's something about the way Crochet is pitching as of late that just feels overwhelmingly dominant. And I know that Skubal has been that guy all year long, but it almost feels like Crochet has leveled up to a certain extent. And Crochet, his last time out, 7 innings of 1-run ball, he punched out 11. Before that, 7 innings of 1-run ball, he punched out 8. He had that blip in Houston, but before that, 7 innings of 2-run ball, he K'd 8. And before that, 6 innings of 2-run ball, he K'd 10. It's clockwork every single time. So I feel like when I look down the line, and I feel like we have this conversation in 3 months, I think we're talking about a Garrett Crochet Cy Young Award, to be totally honest with you.
It's really going to be difficult to deny Crochet the American League Cy Young if he wins the Triple Crown. And what I mean by that is ERA, innings, and strikeouts. Because like I said, both have 6 starts remaining. Crochet has about a 7-inning lead and a 7 strikeout lead.
Common mistake you see. It's not innings as part of the pitching Triple Crown. You know what it is?
What is it?
It's wins. But you know what?
Who's got the lead in wins?
Crochet is leading the American League in wins.
Okay, so he might just win the Triple Crown anyway. But yes, however you want to phrase it, what I think is most important, and what I even think the voters are coming to now, is innings, ERA, and strikeouts. But let's go through their 6 remaining starts, and you start to see a path of how Tarek Skubal can lower that ERA enough to give him the win here. Crochet is going to go up against the Orioles in his next start, the Guardians, the A's, the Yankees, the Rays, and then the Tigers. There are some tough starts in there. There are some easy ones. I would say that's an average schedule moving forward.
Yeah.
Tarek Skubal, as we're recording this, he's going up against the A's, then the Royals, then the White Sox, then the Marlins, and then the Guardians twice. And you might say, Guardians are a divisional matchup. Not too bad of an offense. They've seen Skubal plenty of times. Can they get to him? Well, Skubal has a 9-inning shutout against them, complete game, and a 7-inning shutout against them. So do the real quick math in your head. That's 0 earned runs. 23 strikeouts. He owns the Guardians, and he gets them twice. Now, can the Guardians make an adjustment? Sure. But when I look at the remaining schedule, you see a path to Skubal having a decently sized lead in ERA. But with the way Crochet is pitching right now, does it matter the competition? The Yankees have the best WRC plus in baseball. He has 21 innings against them with 27 strikeouts and a 2.95 ERA.
Yeah.
So that would be the counter. Who cares about the schedule moving forward? Who's going to hit Crochet? And among those guys that I named, right, will the Tigers crush him? Maybe. Maybe not. It's Garrett Crochet. So
Right.
I'm starting to lean towards Crochet on this one.
So my thought is nobody's going to crush anybody. And I'm just thinking who's dominant looks more dominant for the rest of the way. That's my working theory on this. And I just feel like Crochet's dominant is going to look a little bit more dominant than Skubal's dominant looks.
And that's why this is such an incredible race, is because these two are two of the best in the game at what they do. I, posted on Twitter, Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield, Muhammad Ali versus George Frazier. This is a slugfest. This is a heavyweight fight. Two of the best at the top just going at each other. And that's why, in my opinion, I almost think this is a little bit more fascinating than the American League MVP, even though both of those two players are unbelievable.
Yeah, but there's something cut and dry. Like Judge is besting Raleigh by 150 OPS points. Like this is actually what's your flavor tonight, Chief?
Right? We have to look at positional value. We have to look at all these different things. Well, with these two guys, it's just two horses running down the track at full speed. Who's going to win by 0.01 seconds?
Yep.
And they're both also, we talked about Judge and Raleigh at the beginning. Both are not playing all that well right now. But Skubal and Crochet are at the top of their game right now.
They're becoming their best right now.
So going down the stretch, we're seeing the best of the best pitch at the best. That's why this is the most fascinating awards race in baseball right now.
So you have the path being a touch easier for Skubal, but you have the trend being a touch better for Crochet.
That's why. Who's your pick? I could hear an argument for either of them.
And you like the Crochet pick.
I do. I'm also maybe a little bit biased. I do have an 11-1 ticket plus 1,100 from the beginning of the season on Crochet to lead the league in strikeouts.
Yeah.
And the reason I bet that over him winning the Cy Young, which is about 7-1 at the time, was the only way he wins the Cy Young is if he leads Major League Baseball in strikeouts. He might lead Major League Baseball in strikeouts. So it might actually happen.
There you go. So Crochet again and Skubal in the very low twos as it stands right now. And we enter the home stretch. It is neck and neck between those two for the American League Cy Young Award. We've got a young pitcher that broke out in a big way in Pittsburgh. We'll talk about that and wrap up the show when we come back. This is the Just Baseball Show. Stay locked. All right, tying a bow on the Just Baseball Show for this week. And today I want to talk about Bubba Chandler. Happy college football week 1, everyone. Cade Klubnik will get the start for Clemson against Notre Dame at Clemson this weekend. Bubba Chandler could have very well been the starting quarterback for Clemson. If you didn't know, Bubba was an overslot draft pick. He was signed away from a Clemson commitment. He was a 4-star quarterback recruit at Dabo Swinney. He was also going to hit and pitch at Clemson. He opts to sign with the Pirates. He was a two-way player in single A, and then he became one of the best and maybe the most electric pitching prospect in all of minor league baseball. Native of Lawrenceville, Georgia, third-round pick of the Pirates in 2021. He made his major league debut over the weekend. It was at home against the Colorado Rockies, and it was out of the bullpen. He went 4 innings of 2-hit shutout ball, no walks. He punched out 3, and he dialed it up to 100 miles an hour. I think what people knew is that the fastball was really electric from Bubba. What I didn't really understand until the first time I saw him live was just how electric it was. There's 100, and then there's a different looking 100. And the Pirates have 2 of those guys in Bubba Chandler and Jared Jones, who's unfortunately on the IL right now. There are very few guys around the league that have that electric type of 100. And I could make the argument that Skenes doesn't have that electric type of 100 because it doesn't carry to the top of the zone the way that Bubba's does or the way that Jared Jones's does. Strider at the peak of his powers, Spencer Strider has that 100 up top. Jacob Mizorowski has that 100 up top. With Bubba Chandler, you're getting the most electrifying young pitchers in the game here. Working out of the bullpen, did that tick you off a little bit that he's a long reliever right now?
Everything about the Pirates ticks me off. You just laid it out. This is a freak athlete. Could have played quarterback at Clemson, two-way guy, starts focusing on pitching, and this stuff is just outrageous. Now, I know he's 22 years old. It's not like they needed to call him up. But when the stuff plays, the stuff plays.
Yeah.
Averaging 98.4 miles an hour on that fastball in his first start with 17 inches of induced vertical break. You mentioned a lot of starters. We just had Liam Hicks on the show, and you were speaking with Liam Hicks with Arm as well, talking about how Yuri might have the best fastball in Major League Baseball. You watch that guy throw that heater, and your eyebrows perk up. It's just, whoa. It's like you're watching an explosion live on television. He's 97.8 at about 17 and a half inches.
Yeah.
Very close. I think there are times where that fastball could dominate so much where he could go one pitch. He could do a flick of the glove and say, here it comes. Now, these major league hitters can hit a bullet, so obviously that would be very challenging, but that speaks to how electric this pitch is. And then he has three other secondaries that he can work off it. Now, the strikeout stuff wasn't quite there in his debut, which was a little bit weird just because it's the Rockies, and I expect more. But he's already thrown a ton of innings this year as well, and this was his first start. There's going to be a couple of jitters, right? The command wasn't perfect, even though he didn't walk a batter, which I thought was really impressive. But to answer your original question, of course it did. Everything about the Pirates, the way they're drafting, the way they're calling up these guys, what they did at the deadline.
Yeah.
How is Bubba Chandler a swing man? That stuff looks as good as any young pitcher already in baseball.
Yeah.
And you got him in a swingman role. I mean, there's a reason the Pirates are where they are.
It was interesting. I didn't really understand that. And I know that the Tigers made the move to Jackson Jobe last year as a relief option, but that's different because the Tigers were in the thick of a wild card push at that point. The Pirates are not. So you have all the time in the world to experiment with this guy. And if you want to limit his innings, why not just have him throw innings 1 through 4, especially when he is going to be in the rotation for you moving forward and you hope for the next 6 years. That was just the weird part of that to me. I'm excited to see Bubba in the big leagues now. It was a long time coming. You could have made the argument that he should have broken camp with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Instead, he was in AAA for 5 months longer than he probably should have been. But now you start to see the vision of Paul Skenes and Bubba Chandler. You've got one of the best prospects in all of Major League Baseball, and Connor Griffin, who just made his AA debut this week within the Pirates organization too. So you see these superstar adjacent talents coming up to complement Paul Skenes, and they're still so far off. But for me, I'm just excited for the last month of the season to just watch Bubba every 5th, 6th day, whenever he may, come after a piggyback. And it really feels like we're seeing a very bright young career take off right now in Bubba Chandler.
And what I will say real quickly is what the Pirates will say, here's the reason he's a swingman right now. We're already auditioning 3 young pitchers, right? With Yohan Oviedo, Braxton Ashcraft, and Mike Burrows. So they say, who are we kicking out? Because we're not going to sit Mitch Keller. We're certainly not going to sit Paul Skenes. So that's 5. So who do you take out? I understand that. Let's go to a 6-man rotation. I mean, we have to see this guy start games for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates fans, don't they deserve anything? Bob Nutting, don't they deserve a little bit of happiness? They see probable starters, Bubba Chandler. You're even going to sell more tickets. And yet, a swingman, sure. Good luck.
Every link you need is in the episode description here. Thanks for joining us on SportsGrid or via our friends or via YouTube and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you got us. Huge thank you to Peter. We will talk to you later.